7-11, yeah, I called the meeting to order. Previous months or the June minutes. I know, Chris, you circulated them. I think we had a couple of modifications that you made and then recirculated back out. And I think the recirculation in my mind was good. So, any commentary on the June minutes?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. So then I make a motion that we accept the updated June minutes as distributed by Chris.
I'll second the motion, and yes.
Yes.
Okay. And yes. All right. All
And
right. Very
and a
good.
fourth yes.
Yeah. All right.
Fourth yes.
Yeah. Right. And that isn't a half vote, right? That's right. That's a full vote, right? So yeah. All right. So next on is financials. So um uh obviously I sent my Reader's Digest version out last night. Spent a bit of time going through it, right?
Yeah.
Just because I was thinking of how can I best do my Ricky Ricardo impersonation of Lucy. We got some explaining to do. So
Yeah.
because the cold hard reality, there's two accounts that we went well over, right?
Yep.
And obviously the beach staff, we all, I think we all knew, Joe knew that was going to end up coming as well. So not necessarily a shock there. And we're going to move some other monies around. And we said more than likely we'll take that from a parks account, I believe, right? So
Yes, but he ended up taking it from site improvement.
okay, I didn't think we had it inside of improvement, but okay.
Because I think we didn't, I think 2 years ago was when basically I think we weren't allowed to put the court resurfacing in site improvement. We had to put it in the revolving account because of the difference of fiscal year. And so that's why that hit rec revolving, not site improvement. And so I think we still had 16 grand in site improvement this whole time.
I thought we so I guess I'll need to go back and take a look at it because I think the site improvement number, I thought we had the basketball court value in site improvement, and then we had a tennis court value coming out of rec.
I still think that was FY24. I think we got it into site improvement of FY24, but we didn't get it. I think I might be wrong, but he emailed and said, hey, is everybody, he did like a quick, I'm so sorry it's same day, but is everybody cool with these moves? And the 8,000 and change was coming out of site improvement. I can pull up his email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, if that's the case, good. I didn't think that was the case, but maybe. Okay. So if that is the case, then I guess I guess the other part is I'm not sure what we need to get, like a clean snap number of what we start with every season, right?
Yeah.
Or every fiscal year. Either what we start or what we end with, right? So
which for the revolvings is the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe, so I'm looking now, there's a 15,372 that was posted on 8/16 of 24 for sports tech in site improvements.
So this is what he shared the other day. So 8,475 from site improvement to beach for internal transfer.
Okay. All right.
So
Okay.
I might be wrong about all other details, but that's what I have.
So maybe because we didn't use, maybe because we didn't use any of the site improvement dollars from the previous
the
year,
bottom.
maybe we rolled it a bit. So I don't know. So maybe that's just one of those, what's the overall balance and where do things finally sit, right?
Yeah.
Because there's definitely there's the sports tech, and then there's that Sunset Sound, that $1,900 Sunset Sound invoice is also in that site improvements bucket, right? So maybe we'll see another negative come out of there, and if that's the case, that's okay, right? Just as long as the monies were still in there appropriately. And maybe it was, because I'm looking, and maybe it started at a 31,372 number. So we definitely still had some money in there. I just don't know what we actually had for, on the recreation side. So if those, so if we've done the journal entries to kind of get those swapped out, then the cold hard reality is the only other one that we went over, obviously, is the rec revolving. We know that one, we don't have a final revenue number yet, right? So even though in the director's report, I know you put that 211 in, but that 211 isn't the final, right? It's
Right.
everything minus the June revenue. And right, I put
Yep.
an assumption of that 39K because I looked
In the
in,
report.
settled transactions report, and I went, okay, it looks to be about this much, right? Just to give us some, where do we think it's going to land and how bad are we, right?
Right.
Right. But, so, and that's why I said, the good news is that we actually grew our revenue, right? The bad news is, we just, we overspent. But if everyone just went, well, we had that sports tech invoice that came out of revolving, which we really weren't expecting to, it's not the whole story, right?
Right.
So, so hence that's why I put together what I did. I don't know if, does that seem directionally accurate?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
that's all. I think that's all true, and I think basically, I think everything you wrote, I'm in agreement with.
Okay.
To keep it short and sweet.
Yeah. So, again, I just think we'll at some point we'll get questioned, um, and collectively we've covered it to the point where, yeah, we're probably due to actually ask for an increase in the spend based on all the weekly field trips and other costs and stuff that have just gone up, and we're adjusting with. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that internally we need to do, right? Because that is saying we're increasing our spend and we know that our revenue isn't where our spend is, and that's, obviously the big thing. We have to get our revenue up.
Yep.
But also, what, like, is there stuff that we're off on? So for example, we went up a certain amount on our field trips. Did we go up enough in our revenue that we're doing that math right? Or are we somehow off on that where that's not adding up? And then same thing, with the
Yeah.
other, with anything else, with these, programs where in my mind they're supposed to be only positive, because if we only send 2 people to archery, we're only paying for 2 registrations, so we're still making money, right? Or we're
Right.
this and that. Is there something that I'm somehow missing where we're coming in at a loss in a way that I don't think we are, but so those numbers aren't moving up
Yeah.
at the same rate? That's my
Yeah.
I agree with that. Because when we set the field trip costs, that was based on the actual cost plus the bus cost, and then we jacked it up a little bit. So I don't understand why we would be in a deficit
right.
unless we didn't get enough kids signed up per field trip and didn't get that income
And last
offset
year we
the,
sold out of every field trip, and so far this year we are too.
Yeah,
yeah, so that doesn't make sense at all.
Right, something's not mathing.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why, not to pick on the theater, and when I say that, it is not a slight on Bob or Jen, right?
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
it just, I just found it funny because I'm like, what,
That
if that
4,000 is my rec.
it
once
is.
once you put the number associated, I know that number is my rec.
So the funny thing is when I was typing it, and then all of a sudden I went back and I went, boy, that number does seem like it's a one-time yearly fee for using MyRec. And I went, I wonder if it's just not under MyRec, right? Because when you go in and I
Company
look
names.
if I look at the company name online, it's associated with theater stuff. And I went, wait a
Hmm.
minute, right? Something,
Yeah.
something doesn't jive there. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and then obviously the we're still getting both the authorized.net and priority payments. I know at one point we were looking at trying to do away with one and maybe we couldn't. So, but those are still decent numbers. Did they, I mean, did the insurance, has the insurance piece always been that high and we just never really calculated it out?
My insurance?
That MIA insurance, has it always
Yeah.
been like 2,000 a month?
So
Hmm.
yes, and it's going up significantly this year, like
Oh,
15+%.
wow. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. They warned us all because that's coming out of our paycheck. The other side of it's coming out of our paycheck.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be like a massive increase this year.
Ugh. Okay. Well, because well, the unfortunate part is if it's coming out of your paycheck, that
Right.
that stinks for you, right? If
But
that
also
if
we're
you're feeling that, but that's, well,
Yeah.
it's still a cost. It's if the collective sum is still the same, it's maybe in the rec revolving account it still all hits the same. I don't know. I guess we'd have to see how that goes. But if that's the case, that's another case where you're going, do we, maybe I go back and I take a look at, what was it in fiscal year 24,
Mhm.
right? Just to go, was there a substantial hike of 10 to 15% then as well? And
Yeah.
again, we didn't, we didn't necessarily account for those changes,
Right.
even though it's in the, your overall, payroll budget line, right? Versus the insurance line.
Right.
So,
Right. Because that's what same idea where that's where when I'm looking at the math, I'm going, well, we put the kids at play block in the kids at play block, but there's a lot more things that affect the cost that or the price that we tag that we put on kids at play
yeah,
than in that kids at play block. It's not,
Yes.
Equipment,
yeah.
staff, call it a
Right.
day. It's again all these other things. And not to get too off topic, but one of my mindsets is long term, I would like to push whatever the new town manager or the finance committee or whoever, but to just say the wiggliness of these accounts based on weather,
Mm-hmm.
pandemics, whatever, like the beach shutting down, like there's so many factors that change our revenue, especially. We can't be having so many of these fixed costs that we have no control over in the same bucket. Like somehow things need to be separated in a way that we can help predict, because we're guessing, we're throwing
Yeah.
darts at a board
Yeah.
that we're like, I don't know, because we're a year ahead, where we build up the expense and then try to dig ourselves out of the hole, and just there's so many factors, and there's some fixed costs that we can predict that in my
Yep.
mind,
Yep.
I can cut down staff if I have low registrations. I can't lower my insurance bill. Like
Right.
it's not something that I can adjust
Yeah. Yep.
to compensate for all these other things that are moving. So
Sure.
anyway, that's a little bit of a tangent, but I think long term, finding a way that feels reasonable to everyone of separating those costs so that fixed costs get covered and variable costs can be variable with expenses.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. You know, and I think part of that, um, you know, part of that ends up going back towards the, you know, is there a way to get your payroll pieces kind of moved out of a recreation account, right? Or you know, at least some portion of it, which we know got, you know, kind of nay-nayed, right? So, you know, now it's just a matter of kind of going back and going, all right, um, you know, you know, I'm not, while I'll say I'm good with numbers and trying to triage and kind of figure out kind of where we are and what's happened, you know, but I'm not a finance expert by any means to the point where I can go, all right, a year and a half from now, this is what it's going to look like.
Right.
You know, that, you know, 15% hike. Well, you know, we didn't plan for a 15% hike. You
Right.
know,
Right.
how are we supposed to do that? So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think, you know, especially, you know, Rick, you've been here the whole time I've been here. You know, each year we're like, our goal is to get a handle on our finances. And each year we don't have a handle on our finances. And again, you know, the past 3 years before this year, we got lucky, honestly, that we didn't go over. But there were
Yeah.
certain hikes and certain situations that we finally didn't get lucky. And again, we got lucky that some other accounts were able to do it, or we had enough savings in the rec revolving. But I think going to, you know, whoever, especially with the town manager act, right? That's my boss too now. Now he's responsible, whoever the new town manager is also now going to be responsible for this too.
yep,
And say,
yep,
look, this is your department too now. You all call, you know, you all asked for it. We need help. We need help. We can't get a handle on this because of all the different variables, the way we're set up. We don't have a full-time or part-time even money person. That's in my mind not your role, and I don't have any training, background, expertise, education on this that I feel like meets this level of need.
Right.
yeah, and you know, but is there, you know, so with that being the case, though, right? We know that we have some, you know, part of your fiscal goals, right? Maybe that ends up being all right, you know, in January, let's say, right? Is there, you know, a 1 or 2 day class or something that, you know, is, you know, a budget 101, you know, a town budget 101 thing that, you know, kind of allows us to get some recreational guidance or something, and that's a good means of saying, of checking that, of it's your personal knowledge as well, but
Right.
it also checks the box of one of your yearly goals.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
maybe there's an opportunity there, knowing that, you know, some of this will end up coming in. So okay, so you know, so obviously parks, you know, parks is what parks is as well. I think, you know, I think we overspent what was there, but I think then again I think we had a decent balance going into that. So that's another one. It's not negative. There isn't a spend limit on that one, so we're probably not going to get called on that. But someone may recognize that there's more expense than revenue in that bucket, and what are you doing there as well? Well, you know, that one in my mind we'll tackle as that one comes. You know, we already know the beach staff. You know, the concert stuff, you know, basically we used up all but 500. And what the other one that I actually found kind of weird is the rec salaries is done, like taken. And I say that, and you know, kind of raising my hand and saying, I didn't put in for it.
What do
I
you,
thought they
what do you mean by
like pushed
that? I
everyone
don't
to this year.
I don't understand what you're saying, Rick.
So there's an unwritten one that we don't really get into and talk about. It's one that's recreation salaries. So there's a stipend that's put aside for the three of us,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
The chair's got the 750 and non-chair has 500s.
Right.
But you have to apply to, I thought you had to apply in order to get that
You
money
do.
back.
Yep.
You do? Yeah, and I
Yep.
haven't. So
I think I did it once a few years back, but I haven't done it since, right? And
So I
you
have a
know,
question.
but the money looks like it's taken.
I have a question on that because this year, one of the big pushes was they were saying we're gonna make boards do it. Like people keep not, and it's messing with our books, and it's messing with whatever and whatever. We're gonna make boards do it. So I guess double checking, is there any way someone pressured you into it and then all of a sudden there was a deadline, you got it in and then you forgot? Because they were like really pushing to say we want boards to take the money.
Do you do it once per year, or do you do it once and then it covers you for the entire term?
Once per fiscal year.
For fiscal year? Okay, okay.
and I did
I
not
know,
get
I
anything.
just,
No.
this is my
Okay.
first year, so.
Yeah, I don't remember I don't remember seeing anything. And you know, Chris, by the way you filled in, I would have been fine with you
I-
taking the whole kit and caboodle.
Exactly.
Right? Quite
No,
honestly,
no.
right?
Yeah.
And I know
But yeah,
Maria's
I mean,
shaking her
I-
head, kind of going, "Yeah, you
I-
might deserve it too."
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I get a notification from, I don't know, Sandy or somebody, and I filled all the stuff out, and it was a pain, but
Yep.
Yep.
And then that was done with it, and then all of a sudden, like some money showed up in my checking account, and I was like, oh, that must be that. Okay,
Oh, okay.
There you
minus taxes, of course, but
Yeah. So there you go.
Perfect.
So you did get it. Okay.
They did, yeah, it worked.
So but odd, was it like in the thousands or was it
No.
sub 500?
It was 500 minus taxes, yeah.
It was 500 minus
It
taxes.
was
So
like
that's
$400 or something, yeah.
I still find that interesting because I know I didn't do anything. So
And I did not
Hmm.
either. So there should
weird.
be around 1,000 sitting there.
I
Yeah.
would have
Yeah.
thought that too. So
Hmm.
anyway, okay.
Look into that.
All right. So
Yeah.
so I guess with that being the case, and actually just looking at, yeah, I don't know. Any other questions on financials?
Well, kind of financials, but one question came up from Marilyn. She wanted to know what the pickleball budget is for this fiscal year. Is it the same as last year? Because they need to order some things apparently.
Talk
Are we
about
doing
it.
are we doing fiscal or are we doing kind of calendar year with them? Because
I don't know.
because the registrations are based on calendar year, not fiscal year.
We'll have to
I-
go back and look. For some reason, I thought we said fiscal year, but
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I think
so
that's why she asked. That's why she asked me this past week. I think is because it's the new fiscal year.
Yeah, so I would have thought it was calendar, only because that matches the
Right.
revenue billing. The intake of the registrations is goes calendar, right? And it totally goes against the whole thing of how we track and so on and so forth. But it just puts it in the same bucket as kids at play. So maybe that is a area that we want to change, right? And
Yeah.
and get that to a fiscal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're never going to get kids at play at
Kids at play,
fiscal,
right.
but let's
Yeah.
not compound the summer program only with other fiscal things, right? So
Yeah. So what do I tell Marilyn then?
I mean, you know what? We could tell her, that's fine, we can go fiscal, right? I'm okay with going fiscal, but just remember, she spends it all before the end of this year. She's not getting anything over the winter time, or she's not getting anything in the spring.
Right.
And I think they do know that, because I got a very specific list about almost 2 months ago where they were saying, we're heading to the end of the year. This is how much we have left. So this is what
Yeah.
we'd like to spend it on. So I
Right,
think
right.
whether we meant it or not, they're going based on fiscal, and I think
Yep.
they do know that rhythm, and they made it purposeful. So
Okay,
Yeah.
so, are we changing the spend number? Are we changing the registration number? Are we changing the spend number?
I'll go first, and then you all tell me what you think. But I think no to changing the registration number, because I still want to push to try to have a indoor extra expense. So I think we keep the registration number as is, as sort of we know we're adding a fee, obviously not to everybody, but to some people. So we're not going up again with the registration. Also, because I think we went up last year. So I think that would
Right.
give us a second year at the same.
I
Right.
think this year was already in. I think
Really?
this year was the second year of the increase,
Okay.
right? I think calendar year 24, we also had the $40 rate, right?
I think. Let me check.
I thought that was the case, but so I am fine with that, and actually, if just, as long as we were saying, okay, we're gonna need to do something a little different for the indoor stuff, because
Right.
that has other
Yeah.
expenses associated with it that we're being asked to cover.
Yeah,
Right.
like utilities and all that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so do we keep their spend budget the same then?
I
For
think
this-
so. I think so. Because so
Yeah.
if we don't change it, right? If we don't change it, then we don't change the spend either.
Except for the indoor with the extra
Well, no,
expenses. Yeah.
well, nope. Nope. I don't. I'm not going to offer that on the indoor, because the indoor, it needs to cover other building expenses.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Okay.
they're not getting an extra budgetary line for indoor stuff, even though
No.
we're going to be charging them for that because of
Yeah.
extra expense on our end for that.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
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 So keep
Okay.
keep the budget the same for equipment and whatever else they want to buy for this coming, I guess, fiscal year then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Okay. What was it for last year? I can't remember.
1,500?
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to
Yep.
look back.
No,
Okay.
I think it was, because I think when we, obviously when we went up, we never really had the budget. We just kind of did things, and that some years it would come to 600, sometimes it was coming to like 900 or
Mhm.
whatever, right? And then it's when we increased the price, and just kind of went, okay, this feels about right. So yeah.
Okay. I'll let Marilyn know then. Okay.
All right, yeah, so we'll let's cleanly write it then as well, that it's fiscal, we're gonna do that, it's 1,500 and fiscal, right?
Yeah.
So that
Yep.
way we all get ourselves back on the same page there. Yeah, okay.
Okay. The only other thing with finances, I did meet with Joe yesterday, because I think at the end of the last meeting or the beginning of the last meeting, we were, and again, this is probably the same issue that we were just discussing, is we were unclear as to, are we in trouble? Are we not interpreting numbers, things like that? I didn't know exactly the right question to ask him, to tell you the truth, but he did explain a couple of things. One of which was one of the things that's changed with regard to invoices going to Kenny is that there are a lot of sporadic invoices versus just a bulk order, with especially with like an Amazon account, right? So they're getting all these things coming in, like the volume of stuff going in is big.
Yeah.
And sometimes the reconciliation of that stuff with Kenny gets delayed either because some account number was in wrong or he has questions about it, and it can get delayed by more than a few weeks to get reported. So there's a bit of there can be a bit of a time disconnect between the numbers that we're seeing and the actual numbers.
So, okay, so if we were, so humor me for a second, all right?
I'll try.
If we waited to the end of the month and pulled 12 different Amazon things together in the middle of this, let's say it's May, right? We've
Mhm.
bought about 12 things in prep, right? At the end of May, we've got, a monthly bill that says, hey, here's all the things that we did this month.
Right.
And we put them all in under one account.
Mm-hmm.
Is he just, is he going to take that as one and just call it a day? Or is he then going to start looking through each one and going, well, why did this one go on this one? Why did that one go on that one?
Yeah, I
Now,
think it's the latter. Yeah.
instead of, so instead of the onesie twosies as it's coming through now he's, sanitizing all of them and none of it's getting paid, right? Because now he's holding up everything instead of holding up a portion.
Right.
So what's
yeah.
better?
I can chime in a bit on this because I actually had a meeting with Kenny about finances. So this was apparently right after a meeting that he had with Joe. So I popped in and just happened to overlap with Kenny on a Sunday. So we sat down for like an hour and went over things. And he had said that Joe had pushed him to basically start rejecting things that are filled out in incomplete or just difficult ways. So
Right.
some small ones are, if I write Amazon, but I don't put the vendor number and, I
Right.
have a template. So I've been doing that for 3 years and Joe's like, every department does, and if we're not told to stop, then we leave that template vendor number empty for every single one forever. And Kenny will take his time because he's super helpful to look up the vendor number on every single time you do that. And Joe's
Right.
like, everyone uses templates. You tell them once, it'll get fixed forever. But
Right.
Kenny is that kind of person that he'll just help, but that help I think is the type of thing that takes a very long time. Or as we're finding with what RB Productions, I'll write my rec, but if I search the big vendor document, it's called RB Productions, and so Kenny is trying to figure out what I mean by my rec because I wrote my rec, but
Yeah.
he has to replace it with the official company. So he does all that. I think if I understand what they're telling me, that's where the time thing is coming. So I think they're finding that exactly like Chris said, everything's taking so long that Kenny will just be like, all right, I've been spending this many hours on a Sunday. I'm done. I'll get to the rest of the pile later. And then if there is an issue, sometimes the rest of the pile later turns into, then I tell you an issue and then you submit and that's where the weeks come in. So I
Yeah.
think that from
Yeah.
what I understand, I think that's what they're getting at. And so I think the main solution isn't necessarily the, little bits. It's the little bits need to just be the easiest version as possible for Kenny in order to increase the speed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Joe said it's not our department specifically, it's across all departments, like library, like everybody is.
Yeah.
There were
It's
like
gonna be the
6
same
of us
boat.
who were all like, yeah.
Yeah.
When Joe told us that in the department head meeting.
and it's funny because I think he just sent out a list with all the vendor numbers, right? I think.
Like a month ago or 2 months ago.
Yeah,
Mhm.
or I recall seeing something. So it's not, it's not like we don't have a reference item to make sure that we can go in, right? So maybe it's just more of a little bit more due diligence on our end to say, okay, can we know that we got it in and it says this on this side. However, in the, in the master list, it's really going to be this vendor number and this is how it's going to need to be reported.
Yeah.
And if it's, and if it says my rec on one thing and we're paying RB on the other,
Yeah.
well, should we, right? I mean, do we have the I'll say, do we have the appropriate W-9 that actually says, yes, we did a legal name change, and oh, by the way, therefore it's either officially RB or it's officially my rec. Well, what is it, right? How come we're getting invoiced in one name and have to pay out in another, right?
Right.
That part of it maybe doesn't necessarily make sense either. So
Yeah.
And
I think,
and without the communication, right? Like no one's saying this is impossible or even all that hard, right? It's just knowing that you need it and it'll make your life easier. We can make the fixes.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
yeah.
it.
And I
They
think
just-
Joe said, yeah, I
Recently,
mean, what Joe said to me yesterday was he's asking Kenny to not hold things, but to flag them and send them back right away and say, look, he needs whatever vendor number, whatever he needs to get things processed,
Yeah.
more rapidly, rather than just holding them for a few weeks.
Yeah.
So,
and,
okay.
and fixing him himself. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I think it's getting to be a burden, I think.
Yeah. No. And you know what? I get it. Right.
Yep.
And the town's getting bigger and more organized.
Exactly.
So it makes sense that, yeah.
It's just
Okay.
strange that we sent out the list. It almost feels like a hint, here's the list. But why not just say, here's the list. Would you mind starting to do this?
But yeah. And he
Yeah.
sends out an updated list every year with the people he's added.
Okay.
But what he said is, the vendor number was an example, but he said, like we said, checking the W-9, I put in
Mhm.
whatever the bands put as on their contract, I put that in, but sometimes the band name is an LLC or this
Yeah,
or
yeah.
the
Right,
that. So
right.
he's, I'm not double checking their W-9. I'm putting, hey, on the contract they wrote fill out to John Smith. So I write John
Yes.
Smith, and I don't know that it's actually John Smith at theband.com, or whatever,
Right.
the band LLC. And it's those little things. So it's that attention to detail that is not hard. I didn't know it was that hard for him. I was like, yeah, it's Amazon. You know what I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah, right,
it's
right.
easy. But
Uh-huh.
I don't know what his system is where,
Yeah.
anyway. So
Okay.
it's, yeah, agreed.
Yeah, and then and the other side of the reality there is, it's it's Amazon, or it's now we're taking in the revenue from MyRec, and it's this lump. He because I looked at some of the revenue things, and it doesn't break anything out. It's just at least in Vadar, right? It's one of those. It's here's your monthly number. Boom, done.
And it's because we don't break anything out. I mean, and honestly, we don't have a ton to break out because we don't take in a ton. So we have the lump that goes to rec revolving. Now that we've added some programs, we could try to break it down by yoga and volleyball and whatever. But that's where my rec reporting never matches the settled transactions. And that's where last year we got into this giant disaster of the
Yeah.
numbers not matching. But because I do it based on settled transactions, here's the settled transactions that go into rec revolving. Here are the ones that go into parks. And then the cash adds to parks, and that's our revenue.
right.
So other than breaking down by the programs, which again, I do think we want to know that, but right now we don't have a good way to do it, and I want to keep working with the website to figure it out. But even when I talk to the person on the website phone, you know what I mean. Then they say, they're like, yeah, these numbers aren't going to match because one is very official documentation and another one doesn't take into consideration refunds and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
Anyway, that's a long way of saying we don't have them broken down more because I'm not submitting them more broken down to them. That's why they're not being reported that way.
Yeah.
Because we don't have that resource.
Right.
Very good. Okay.
We still have a lot
Good.
of issues and not a lot of
All right.
solutions, but it's okay.
All right. So
It's being worked on.
Yeah. So just looking over 750 in I think that's enough on the financial side.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. All right, Maria, you want to go with other items on the director report?
Oh yeah, I kept it really short on the financials, so I'm glad you covered that. Um, so for tonight's topic, so end of year finances, we kind of talked about that, so I won't really get into that. But one just brief thing is during the last department head meeting, Joe was going to push that every department had access to their own Vadar. Again, trying to pull some of this work off of Jess and Kenny, who are doing a lot of extra work for people. And so I immediately, kind of put my hand up of saying, let's split, because we all maybe need to look at it once, twice a month, and 3 departments looking at it once, twice a month is pretty easy to share and not step on each other's toes. And then our costs would go down for all of us, and they don't need it. We need it more than them, and they really don't
Yeah.
need to look at it very often. So
Yeah.
maybe that would work out. I'd really hope it would. But I know it's not a crazy amount of money, but it would help.
Sure. Okay.
Kids at play. So obviously you all, were clued in on the lost and found email today, right? That went to you too? Yeah.
Yep.
So, really smoothed over. Luckily, it was a family that I, have known for, I think, the whole 4 years I've been here, and we really were able to work it out. But it was just a breakdown in policy. We typically keep the current week's lost and found separate from the previous weeks. And when it gets too overwhelming, you take out the previous weeks and you keep the current weeks. And just somebody made a mistake and put the current weeks in together. And anyway, there was a water bottle that was, custom and the kid's favorite and all of that just accidentally got donated the day after it was lost. So they were like, that's a little bit unfair. It's one thing if this was 3 weeks ago, but it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's a family that, comes every day. We know them very well, all of that. So kind of a little bit of a back and forth on, it's hard because it's a courtesy program. So we don't typically do financial reimbursement, since it's just kind of a courtesy that we're collecting it. But anyway, kind of went around, Joe chimed in, and that's fine. So reimburse them for the cost of the water bottle. Everybody's happy. But it did show a hole that we don't have a written lost and found policy. We have one, but not written. So we're gonna start developing that. Joe made some really good suggestions of, I've always just on my drive home one day, I throw it in those metal bins. I get home the next day, I returned our empty bins, and that's our thing. And he said that's hard because, as is in this situation, there's no business that a family could go to retrieve an item that has been donated by us, because it's just going into those metal bins. So he said, pick a location. A Savers, a Goodwill. He didn't say that, but that's what I think he means. So we can say, oh, it's at the Savers in Framingham, type of thing. So I think that's fair. Couple other things are just, we're gonna get, kind of those big mesh bags like you'd put, 6 soccer balls in, type of thing. And we're going to say, all right, this is the mesh bag from week 1. This is the mesh bag from week 2. At the end of week 2, we'll donate week 1. And then at the end of week 3, we'll donate week 2, so and so on. And it gives kind of people some more time, is a little bit more physically separated. And we can post that once we write it up in the disclaimers when people register. So they're made fully aware, this is our rhythm. And so, at the end of 2 weeks from the day you lost it, basically, is when, or 1 week from the day you lost it, potentially, is when, we're sort of saying sorry.
I know,
we might make it.
I know those are fairly cheap, but I might have a half a dozen of those that are brand new.
Amazing. Yeah.
Like,
so we might take,
surprise.
Yeah. No one's shocked. Yeah. I might have had someone in mind when I came up with that genius idea of the big mesh bins. But anyway, yeah, so we might take 3 of them off your hands. But I think that would be, we'll still display it. We do nice tables, and our counselors, they fold them, and it's when everybody walks in for drop off or walks in at pickup, they're walking by it every day. But the reason why the mistake happened was because yesterday we had 3 weeks worth, and it was so piled and overwhelming, no one could even look through to see if they could find stuff. So I think 2 weeks is reasonable. We'll still do the nice display, but we'll have it a little bit more of a system. So anyway, we'll get into some more details, but written and posted.
When
Okay.
will when is the aim for the written to be done and handed out to parents?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say mid next week, just because we'll
Okay.
work on a draft tomorrow, kind of talk about it Monday, that kind of thing. And then I'll probably shoot an email out to all current registrants and then have it as a disclaimer when they sign up, so that we'll hit everybody current and then everybody future. And then moving forward, we don't ever have to send it to anyone because it'll be one of the click-throughs when you first register.
Right.
Sounds good.
You know, I
Good.
agree that this is the policy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
What are we putting out there in terms of recommendations for what kids are bringing? Because we get into this at school, and I'm thinking it from that framework, and I'm thinking it about these bad boys, which are the bane of every educator's existence.
yeah.
You know, are we recommending that campers not bring items of value? If somebody's going to be bringing a $45 water bottle, it's kind of like, just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear you on that. I will say, and again, knowing the family, knowing the child, I
Yeah,
think she's had this water bottle for like 4 years, and I
Yeah.
think she's like 8. So I think she's a pretty like, this is my water bottle, and she
Sure,
doesn't leave it
sure.
around very much. So I think I hear you, but I'm imagining a parent being like, this kid will never go anywhere without it. It's safe. And there was just a one,
Yeah.
night mishap.
Just moving forward,
But
it got me thinking, because again, you triggered me. I'm thinking Stanley, don't get me into Stanley.
yeah.
And then I start thinking about cell phones and all of that. What are we putting out there? And this is on me. I should have been reading up on it. But what are we putting out there about, campers are responsible for their own items, and we highly recommend they not bring things of value.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely don't have wording of that sort. What we do have is, I actually just posted it in a, I think, more obvious place. So we're calling it a welcome letter, and it's what we send out. It's a generalized version of what we send out at the end of every week for the following week. But what we were hearing back is that people who were off rhythm, maybe they register on Sunday for Wednesday, they're not
Yeah.
hitting that email. So
Yeah.
we posted it in kind of a in your face place. But the short answer is, this is the type of wording we have for what to bring and what not to bring.
Yep.
If you're able to see it. So just
Yep.
super quick: reusable water bottles, bathing suit, towel, sunscreen, lunch, snacks, blah, blah, blah. And then
Yep.
the what not to bring: electronics. So that's sort of toys, makeup, weapons of any kind, skateboards or scooters, and then delivery food. So we
Yeah.
don't have any wording along with, don't bring something expensive. This would be a great place to add it if we feel like it's
Yeah,
important.
I'm thinking maybe sort of at the bottom or at the top, we recommend campers not bring anything of value. Things do get misplaced. Very, very simple. Just a reminder, this is on you, and we're not going to be chasing down people's $45 Stanley water bottles.
I hear that.
And there's
So, yeah,
always
we can,
those one-offs like this family, and I can name the same ones at my school that you want to
Yeah.
break the rules for, but
yeah, and like I said,
For them,
I
bad.
told him that too. I was like, we did mess up our system. We have a system that wouldn't have allowed this to happen. We messed up our system. I apologize. Like,
yeah,
if
some
our system
mistake.
had run fine, I don't think anybody's gonna say, I lost this 2 weeks ago, what the hell? But I lost this last night. I
Yeah,
do take responsibility for that one. But
Totally.
I agree with you that some wording is not gonna hurt anything. So anyway, Chris, I like your question. So yeah, we're gonna shoot for mid next week, and then
Okay.
I think maybe it was just the main thing we were just realizing is, I think of Lost and Found as such kind of like an obvious everybody everywhere thing. I never thought to write it down, honestly.
Yeah.
But this just showed a hole in our, that people are gonna ask. So
Yeah.
there we go.
Mhm.
New way of doing registration numbers. So I sent that all to you. I did update it the other day, and I accidentally closed out of it earlier tonight. But basically, we're doing really well on registration. I don't know, because Rick, you and I have kind of gone back and forth on where we pull registration numbers. And the interesting thing is, whenever I pull registration numbers, we look like we're doing great. And when you pull registration numbers, we maybe don't look like we're doing as great. But I would love to figure out what type of numbers are the most helpful. So this was my kind of latest idea of just a physical, how many bodies were there that day compared to how many bodies were there that day on average in previous years.
Mhm.
So I updated this, let's say a couple days ago. So Tuesday was the last day it was updated. But basically, you can see this Excel?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
Nope.
oh.
All
Alright.
I'm seeing.
I thought it was gonna override it.
Nope.
Rick, you're
Ye-
muted.
Yeah, you were hovering over like the area of where the topic was. So I'm like,
Yeah, you were like,
okay.
yeah, right here.
Yeah,
I
sure.
I
There.
pulled it up on my screen, but I thought it was gonna kind of override the sharing. Anyway, so this is what I shared with you all as an example the other day. I did it for both Kids at Play and LITs. Just for the screen being huge, I filtered it to only show 24 and 25, but all the numbers I just hid the columns. So all the numbers are still based on 19, 20, 21, 22, 20, 25. It's a lot of years. So basically what I did was I just looked at, kind of butts in the seat. 95 kids showed up on Monday. 92 showed up, or I shouldn't even say showed up, registered on this day. So we received money from kids
Yep.
this day. One of the clarifying questions I have for my rec is, if a child cancels, this gets updated, right? Because in my mind, this number should be accurate. Money,
Yeah.
we received, money from 95 kids. We received money from 92 kids, but that's what I need to double check with my rec to make sure this is including cancellations and transfers. I believe it does. So anyway, this is looking at past averages. So this is from 2019 to 2025. Chris made a good comment, and there was one year that I did take this into account. So I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, school got extended because of snow days. So we had 0 registrations for the first couple of days. So I just took that out of the average. So you'll see there's a column missing because I don't think we need to include a 0 on an average that we didn't hold camp. We didn't have counselors. We didn't do anything. Everything, the start date just got pushed back.
Right.
So that was removed to not affect the past average. Chrissy, you had said a different thing too, in addition to that 0.
Yeah, so there was the weird 2023 year, I think,
Okay.
where the numbers were really low. And I think that was the extended school year. And then
That
there was
was
the COVID year, I think.
Yeah.
2021.
Yeah.
Where the numbers were pretty low. So that
My computer's about to die. I'm gonna go grab a plug.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so that
yeah.
drags the average down.
Yeah, that's got to be 2020, right? I mean, 2020,
2020,
is,
yeah.
it's definitely the one, because that was, you know what? Actually, it might not have been that bad, because we were actually one of the only ones in the state that actually were running a summer program,
Okay.
right?
Because of outside, yeah.
Well, it was outside, but and this was obviously pre-Maria, but Andrew was around then, and we had to do it where we actually if we had 100 kids, we had 10 different groups with no more than 10 kids in a group, because that was the rule, right? You couldn't have groups of kids in more than 10.
Right.
So so it was one of those that we you almost had assigned kids in groups every day of the week back in 2020, right? That was their group all week long, and you didn't change. You didn't change groups during the week, right? You had the same counselor, the same group for that whole week, and then the next week it could have changed, but at least that first week it all stayed the same, because then if one thing happens and it happens within the group and the groups are segregated, it only affects potentially the group, not everybody. So it was nightmarish going through that.
Anyway, I like this format though.
So I want to keep experimenting to see what you all think is helpful information. I think we were realizing that the sales wasn't really meaning anything. Rick would pull a different number that would kind of show a different story than the sales. So, and sales is hard because number of sales really doesn't tell us anything about income and all that. So,
Right.
anyway, I'm hoping this number is more helpful. And
Mhm.
if this number is more helpful, what it's showing is we're having a good year. We're seeing the green is just saying, hey, this average is above, right? So, the past average was 75. We had 95. This average was almost 20 above, right? And so that's, it's
That's
nice. A lot of
great.
green
Yeah.
is what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
across the board. One
yeah.
quick note.
Okay.
Some of these averages are going to be dragged because of where the fourth falls. So if the fourth
Right.
falls in week 2 or week 3, so you'll see for some reason, right? These 2 days are really low and these couple of days are really high, and that's because that's where the fourth fluctuates. So
Yep.
this year, we had our low days here, which matched up with some other lows for the typical fourth, but sometimes the fourth is over here and we were way above because we were way
Yeah.
after the fourth. So
Sure.
that's just a little bit misleading, but that kind of levels out for the rest of the year.
Mhm.
And then again, I keep these gray numbers are correct as of Tuesday. The gray numbers were just for days that hadn't happened yet, closed out yet. So dark that's an official number. Gray
Right.
that's a current, as of Tuesday number. But
That's
if you
great.
look,
Yeah.
people tend to register much closer in, so we're still not very behind. We get a couple of registrations each week, which is very much on trend. People tend to do
Mhm.
it back to back. And we're pretty close to where we want to be every week.
That's great.
Obviously, as we get later, we get much more behind, but people aren't thinking that far. And then we're already above the average
Nice.
of previous years.
That's
That's
awesome.
great.
So we're having a good
Collectively.
year.
So
Collectively,
so that's that it's above the average, but how does how does can we get another one that's just against last year,
we can. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
and I think I think adding just obviously adding another row in there that says okay, L versus N, and here you go, right?
Right.
It
Right.
is it. So
Right.
it's not that the numbers isn't there, right? It's just a matter of they're saying, I'd love, in my my mind always goes, I want the 2 data points. Are we
Yeah.
are we growing or diving, year over year, and how are we doing against our averages?
Yeah.
It sounds like it looks like that number versus
Right.
32. Yeah.
So and again, Rick, I can put it so it's literally right next to it, but this is what we're looking at. So for example, I have the year total because I've been doing continuous updates, and
Yep.
then this one's the year to date, but with all of the current, for the future that currently
Sure.
is signed up.
Right.
And again, as of right now, we're 100 behind where we were at the end of last year,
Correct.
which
But
is
that'll
pretty
that'll
nice.
catch up. Yeah.
Understood.
Right.
Understood. But when I look at that, and then all of a sudden you look to the right, and it shows it's in green, and you go, well, we're not, and so I understand we're above our average, but we're behind year over year from where we are to date compared to what a final was incomplete last year. And I get it, right? I do expect that that number is going to grow. It's just a matter of going, okay, where do we, where do we think it ends up landing, right?
Right.
And when we were going back and forth like a month ago, right?
Yeah.
That was, obviously that was a point in time too. And I knew that other things were going to start growing once we got a little bit closer. And
Sure.
the first week was very heavy. The second week wasn't, and I wasn't as worried about the second week, knowing it's the fourth. It's
For the
the
July,
week
right.
of 4th of
Yeah.
July, right?
Yep.
I was more worried about week 3, right? Because that one, it was a little bit better than week 2, but it wasn't showing it yet, and they just hadn't, school hadn't gotten out yet, so they haven't done anything, that
Right.
far out. Because usually they'll book off the first week or two, see how it goes, and then continue to grow from there. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. No, and I like that. And again, I can add that column just for a quick while we're having the conversation. You know, we were 30-ish above on week 1, and we had a big week 1 last year. You know, we were, I'm not going to keep doing math, but we were this many above on week 2.
Come on, you've worked with me
No.
long enough now.
18%, right? 18%, is that what the green is?
Yeah,
18 total.
90,
18 total, there you
90-ish?
go.
No, 80-ish, 80-ish.
Yeah.
80-ish above. And the, you know, the 4th was in the same week, so that's helpful information. Although I know we've talked about in the past years when the 4th is on a Thursday or Wednesday or Tuesday, it really affects the whole week in a way that it being on a Friday, it tends to not. Anyway, blah blah blah. And then, you know, again, you know, really week 3 showing up ahead, and week 4, which, you know, tomorrow will be completed, but we were already ahead as of Tuesday by significant. And then really the only time we're not ahead is starting next week. And we
Right.
may see a dip, especially with the water closed. At this point,
Yeah.
it looks like the
Mhm.
water is going to be closed all the way through next week. But we honestly, we haven't been getting a lot of cancellation requests. I think I've processed like 3. So really not a lot of people who are like, well, never mind, see ya. But yeah, so we're still doing pretty
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
last year.
Okay. Yeah.
But
No,
I can visually make the column.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's good, right? Because then that also gives us insight to, hey, we're watching these numbers, and this is how we're planning out how many counselors we're going to need on the given week, and
Mhm.
we know that this particular, you know, this one's the day that we'll have the field trip, so we know that that day is a little bit higher, but you know,
Yep.
only this many kids are going to still be at the beach versus on the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a
and
way,
oh, go ahead.
go ahead. Is there a way that we can figure out why we're doing so much better this year than next year? Like in some kind of a, when parents register, like why you register, like what is spurring you on to register? Was it like an ad in the newspaper? Was it the sandwich boards? Was it word of mouth? Was it what was it? Because maybe
Yeah.
we want to do more of that next year. You know what I mean?
Like,
That's a great idea. I mean, we have a million, you know, forms and disclaimers and all the stuff that they sign. Maybe I can tack it as like
Just
the
like
last
the
question of one of the forms they already
just the
fill out.
box. Yeah.
You know, what
Where
made
did you
you make the
where did
decision this year to register?
Yeah.
yeah, where did you see this?
Yeah.
How
And
did you
what,
find
you
out
know,
about the
what
question?
is it?
Figure out.
Is it the price? Is it, you know, whatever? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Is
we can add
is
that
it
in.
is it, you know, the fact that we've got field trip things that
Yeah.
are now back on, right?
Yeah.
And we're doing, you know, we've got a good mix of trips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that'll help us focus in on what's going to work for next year and
Right.
Yeah. Of
either
course.
improve it or expand something or
Yeah.
maybe not include something. Like if the
Right.
newspaper thing, if nobody saw the newspaper thing, we don't do it next year. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. No, that's a good idea. Because I don't know, but I'm happy about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What worked?
Yeah. Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
Cool.
All right. So anyway, but let's keep talking. So I guess this number was 15, not 16, but let's keep talking about, I want it to be helpful information. I feel like each month I just kind of go, here's some info that doesn't mean anything. So I want it to be, you know, relevant, helpful, help us make decisions exactly like you all are saying. That's my goal. Emails not going through. I don't know how much you all knew about this big thing, but basically there was an AI update for a bunch of email providers that happened. And so mass emails from websites like ours were getting filtered not into junk, not into spam, into promotions. And
Jeez.
people could sometimes, honestly, they could even find them only if they clicked all mail. And then I swear some people were like, it's not even there. So luckily MyRec, the website was on it, you know, once we kind of said, hey, what's going on? We need help with this. They gave like a step-by-step copy and paste instructions on here's how to you know, work around this.
Yeah.
It is annoying. You have to create like a filter in your email and blah, blah, blah. But I have that again. So that was a mass email out just from my work email. I copied all the parent emails and sent it from my work email to say, here's what we've learned. I apologize, things aren't going through. And then it's now, like I said, one of the disclaimers that they see of saying, we've learned that this is an issue. Please pause, do this now before continuing on to make sure that you're receiving communications from us. That really helped. So far, we've only had a couple of people who said they're not receiving it, which we always get. But it was like probably 50+% of people came day one of camp and said, I haven't heard from you all, so we just showed up.
Wow.
which
Oh,
was rough. It was a rough first
They
day.
showed up.
Yeah, I mean, luckily we have so many returners. They were like, we knew what to do, but there were other people that are like, is this camp? Am I in the right place? So that was rough. We got through it. It's fine. Field trips. So we've sold out of every field trip so far. Every time we always have some last minute, somebody cancels in the morning and whatever, but we have a pretty good system at this point that if you haven't canceled 48 hours in advance, we will do our best to fill that spot. And if we fill that spot, we will give you a refund. But if the spot's not filled, your kid's welcome to not go, but we can't give you a refund because, somebody else would have paid. We can't give you a refund. That's worked great. And actually every single trip so far, we've been able to find someone last minute. We, have a wait list going and all that stuff. So we've been able to refund every single person and charge every single new person. And it's been great.
That's awesome.
The field trips, have been, kind of slowly trickling in, but they fill up usually week before, week of. So I'm feeling pretty confident about that. I'm kind of surprised that Breezy isn't more full already, but I trust it will be.
That's a ways from now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, going well with those. Beach, so we're closed. Water's closed. All gatekeepers are canceled. All lifeguards are canceled. It's definitely going to be through the next concert. So we don't have any more rescheduled days. So we're going to just have to really advertise that at this concert, there will be no lifeguards.
Okay.
I'm asking one beach director to be present to basically be a bodyguard for the water.
Yeah.
And like we've been saying, we can't physically keep people from going in. We can't physically remove people, but I'm going to be at the grill, whatever. I want the beach director just communicating. Hey, are you aware? Hey, are you aware? Hey, just so you know, the water's closed. Hey, do you know why? Because I don't want anyone saying, hey, we swam and no one told us, right?
Yeah.
If you choose to do it, you choose to do it, but the signage is there. I want a body doing that. So that's the one thing for the concert next week.
And it's not going to be insanely hot on Wednesday.
Good.
Anyway, next Wednesday, and it's going to be sunny, so should be okay.
Yeah. And I think as long as we start advertising early enough, people, hopefully will know. And again, that'll just be that extra body to help us out.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of this information of the water,
Yes.
because this really blew up for me on Facebook. I mean, lesson learned from now on. When I copy something and send it to moms groups and all of that, I'm just not going to allow commenting.
Yes.
But it blew up. We did have somebody, and nobody has yet figured out what the heck was wrong with her. She just launched into the admin of the Upton Moms group for no reason whatsoever. But then there was other things, people being worried, oh my gosh, my kid's been swimming at camp. What's the danger? All of that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that it needs to come out from us in regards to the camp, but I think it was problematic that it did not go out from Department of Health first. People were really, really concerned about what was going on.
Do you mean on social media?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I actually don't know if Department of Health posts on social media.
So if we're putting it out ourselves and it's on the DOH stuff is on the website,
yeah,
maybe we could provide a link to that.
Sure.
Yep.
And because I just do like a copy paste type of thing, say this info can be found at, so it's a link, but it's also they can go directly and look at it.
Yeah.
I started feeling like we were responsible for sharing the details of blooms and all of that. And I was like, I'm not getting into that.
Yeah.
Lori Woden did jump in and, to her credit, provided a lot of important information.
Yep.
But it went south pretty quickly. So
I saw that. That was rough. I
Yeah.
saw it before you turned comments off. Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
not
that's
pretty.
that's on the Board of Health portion of the website.
Yeah.
The Upton website.
Yeah.
And it's on as like an alert on the main
It is on the
page
top.
of
if you-
the website, just for info, but I don't
Right.
know, Chris, you're on it. I don't know if it then says,
There's
go
no-
to Board of Health.
No, there's no link to anything, but if you go to the Board of Health website
Yeah.
or a portion of the Upton website, it does have that alert.
I'm sure it does. I'm just thinking, as a mom who might have back in the day sent my kids to the camp, I'm not going to go to the Board of Health. I'm not going to go to the main website. I'm going to be looking for the information coming from the camp. That's us.
And agreed. And so you're aware, we did send an email to every single person,
Ah,
directly with more extensive information.
that's good to know. See, I wasn't
Yeah.
made aware of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that-
So yeah, we emailed out everyone associated with our program. For me, social media was about the general public.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I like your edit because, like you said, if you're just at work and you see a Instagram post and your kid's swimming that day, you're not thinking, I'm going to go check my email just in case, right? You're panicking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But
I
yeah,
think-
no, we emailed every single parent. Yeah.
okay. And that, you go on the social media and they might be looking for themselves. And that's one of the people was like, well, I was told it was safe 2 weeks ago. Laura have told me it was safe and now it's not safe. And what's going on? So it's not just moms, it's other people that are using the water.
I think, there should be a policy that we screen every week and those results come out. And if the prior week was safe, then you were safe swimming the prior week. Isn't there some kind of a document or some process?
So
that we
that's
can just
actually
point them to?
exactly how it goes. Yep. So
Yeah,
starting a week or two before we open at all, even just the little weekends, never mind camp.
Yeah. Bless
Board
you.
of Health starts screening, and every week Diane emails me and says, hey, results are good. We have a big stop sign on our
Right.
website that's green, yellow, red. Green says water
Right.
testing has come back clear, all set. And just it stays there because every week it comes back clear. I pulled it down and replaced it with all this stuff because
Mhm.
actually our water tests all came back clear. They were within margins. It was just a visual. Our lifeguards do a sweep and they visually saw something. They took pictures, which is what they're supposed to do. They sent it to me. I sent it to Board of Health. They sent it to the state. It's how it works every time we visually see something we're not sure about. About 60% of the time, the state says, don't worry about it. That doesn't scare us, just based on those pictures. But
Right.
sometimes, and it happened, last year and it happens this year, where they just say, yeah, that scares me based on visual. So close the water so we can do this testing thing.
Retest, yeah.
But, and again, that's all it's written down that we're closed out of an abundance of caution just based on a visual. All of
Mhm.
our testing so far has come back within the acceptable margins, blah, 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 blah. So we put all that in that. But exactly like you said, Chris, it is once a week. It is posted. The test came back clear.
And the
So
Board
people
of
can
Health is
check.
responsible for running those, right? Those tests?
They run the tests. Yep.
Yeah. So I think if Laura, like you're saying, if anybody wants context, I think you just say, please contact the Board of Health with any questions you may have,
Yeah.
just to snuff out the conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we put something together that briefly explains the process and then says, with any questions, go to the Board of Health. If I can slap that onto the social sites, because again, people aren't thinking to go to Board of Health. They're like me, they're lazy. They see it in one place and they go frantic.
I hear you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
will say today for the first day, when I came back from the field trip, there was no one actually swimming, which was great. Glad to see it. They
Yeah.
did say, so just so you all are aware, where every morning we're supposed to check for visible algae, the same way that we saw it the first time. And if we don't see it, that's when we reach out to the state. It usually takes them about a day or two after that to actually get us in their schedule, but it has to be clear first, and then they'll come out for the testing. The hard thing is it was clear yesterday and clear today, but people were swimming, so they're kind of not trusting our clear, and they're saying give it another day, because people were swimming, it could have just mixed it up. It doesn't mean it's not there. We really
Right.
have to have people not swim to see if it's going to settle, even though
Right.
we're checking first thing in the morning, 7 a.m., but that's what they said. So the hard thing is I pushed, hey, we're clear today. Can we do it? And they said, give it one more day before you reach out to us, which means it's going to be at least Monday, if not Tuesday, that they come out for the first test, and then 7 days after that is the second test, and then we need the result. So we're closed all next week and potentially the next Monday or Tuesday.
Do we put
Yeah.
that information out?
That's information we got today. Right now, everybody's aware that it's closed at least through the 23rd, so Wednesday. That's the last I heard from Diane today about everything I just said to you. So the next set of email will be over the weekend of here's the latest update. We'll be closed as of this date. We'll let you know as we get more information.
Should something
And-
like that go out on socials, just with that dating? So people who are using it, not for the kids at play, but using it and referencing mom's group socials for that information.
The only hesitation I have on that, and I kind of actually used the Grafton, I think it was Grafton. Anyway, had something where they had to close down for a bit, and I liked it. I was talking to one of them. The reason in my mind of staying vague is, like you said, people on social media, they look at one thing once and then they're like, done.
Right.
Putting a date out there, even if we put to be determined for now, preliminary, any words, they're going to
People take
see a
it
date and
literally.
they're going to show up the
Yeah.
next day and they're going to say, why is
Exactly.
the water closed? So
Yeah.
that's my only fear. In an email, I feel like someone's going to process it a little bit more. I
Right.
feel like on social media, we're closed. Hey, we're open. Like, that's my mindset.
Let me toy around with some language.
Okay.
Because it blew up so bad. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are using,
Not surprising.
they're using the information I'm putting out there and then taking it for purposes other than kids at play.
And
Yeah.
I hear you. And the one other thing I will say is, funny enough, that actually wasn't bad for what we have experienced in the past for things like this. So as much as it wasn't nice and it didn't feel good, I will say that was more on the mild side of what we've run into in the past. So I think there's going to be a little bit of an always response, no matter the best, even with the best. I don't know if I would, and I'm not saying no, I would love to see your wording and your concept, but I also want to just kind of check us for a second and make sure that we're not doing like a gut reaction to a couple of people when we're always going to get a couple of people. We're always going to get a couple of people.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe it's not us that it comes from. Maybe it's the Department of Health that it comes from. I just think it's important for it to get out there in some way, because people are not going to DOH website. They're not even going to ours. They're not going anywhere but socials.
And as someone who lives across from Chauncey Lake's tested well every single week all year. And every single week someone's going, is it safe to, I've heard it's not safe. I heard it's not safe. You're not supposed to swim there. You can't swim there. There's no signs. There's been no communication. It's been open. There's a little kid with a shade who's taking money. Like, it's very open. And every single week social media is saying it's not safe. So I hear you. And again, I'm not saying no, I'd love to see your wording, but I just want to remember that social media is social media, no matter what.
Yeah. Well, lesson
for the-
learned. Like I said, there will never be comments allowed on my posts from here forward.
There you go.
So for the concert next week, I mean, how do people find out whether the concert is canceled or not? What platform do they use for that?
I blasted on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then
Maybe, yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
blast.
if the concert is still on, maybe you can add a line saying concert is still on, but, to that piece.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I agree. And I did have, like I said, I was there until about 5:45 last night, and I did have only 3 people show up. They were very, kind about it, but they said, "Hey, we're not on social media." So I will say when it's a split decision, I'm trying to cancel staff, I'm trying to talk to the band, and blah, 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 blah. I don't want to necessarily say I'm definitely going to remember, but adding it to the website would be a nice touch. I'll be honest, I didn't even know we had a website, so I don't know if that would have actually solved that problem, but
Right.
if I think of it, I think it would be helpful.
We can't always catch all people.
Right,
Do
to
they-
only have
I mean, they-
3 show up is pretty good.
Yeah, they put signs up right at the beach, right? Do not swim kind of thing, or do they
Yeah,
not?
we did. Yeah.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, we put up no swimming, and then we handwrite posted as of 7/16 blah 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 blah
Okay,
blah, and we
yeah,
put it all
okay.
up there. And then today Board of Health had those big like yellow signs
Right.
printed,
Yeah.
the sandwich board size.
Right.
So they're now on the beach and at the gatehouse, and I think
Sure.
across at the boat launch.
Yeah, they
Like
have it
shark-
at boat launch. Drove by today.
Like shark sighting, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. They don't have it. They don't have it at that little fishing spot, but I'll reach out to Diane
Oh,
tomorrow.
the perch rock or whatever that is, yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving
Good.
forward. Current
Sorry, I
program.
got
So
myself all worked up about that.
yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, you can tell I'm spending a lot of time on everything because I'm like, this was a week. It was just 2 days. It was literally just yesterday and today. Current program, so pickleball, we talked about the additional fee. I haven't reached out to Joe yet about what we're talking about for cost for utility and cleaning crew, so I need to get that number from him. Honestly, I just haven't done it yet. But in my mind, I think we just take that number and we divide it. But one of the things I charged Marilyn with was go talk to your board. Don't spread this around to all members, but go talk to your board and say, what is your preference? I'm not saying we'll necessarily do it, but what is your preference to, do you want a set number of spots? And when that's full, that's full. And we're letting you know that we're going to take the total and divide it by those spots. So that might be a little bit heftier of a cost if we do that. Or do you want to let it just be open-ended, knowing that some people might not get a ton of playing time? And then,
Right.
we'll have to make our best guesstimate on how to divide the cost based on what we
Mhm.
think might come from that. So I'm kind of leaning towards a set number, especially with this first year. One,
Yeah.
it makes doing the math of the cost simple. And 2, I think it helps us kind of gauge. And then if they're like, holy crap, 3 times that number wanted to sign up, and that would have been great, next year we do that. I don't know.
Yep,
But I
And-
did charge them where I said, talk it through at your board meeting.
I
And-
agree, yeah.
And feasibly, if we're able to go that route with a certain number of spots, then you could almost set it up like the volleyball, right? Where, hey, you've got, X amount in this window, that window, or that window, or, for that particular day within that time range, and that's it.
Right.
Mhm.
No, I think that's exactly it, is ask Joe, either we do, hey, if you want to give us the whole one, we'll just divide by the number of individual days. But if you want to give us the daily rate, we'll just make, there's 4 sessions, 4 people per session. That's the math. That's
Yeah.
the math for that day.
Mhm.
So agreed. That's definitely where I'm leaning toward. Make the math simple, keep
Yes.
easy.
Yeah, and learn from it, yep.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
And Rick, you were right. I double checked. This is our 2nd year now at 40. So we can talk about what to do about it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, if there's a separate number that we charge, who knows? Now with, with Joe leaving and someone else coming in, is that truly cost that we're still going to be asked to pay out? Who knows, right?
Right.
And maybe what, we do if we don't increase the cost is, we do an extra $1 per person or something like that. So sure, we're not getting an extra $5 for people in the 200, but if 60 people show up, we're getting an extra $60. Or if we
Yeah.
make $2 extra, we're getting an extra 100. You know, it's not massive, but maybe we tack on $1 or $2 extra dollars from what we actually need. So at least if we are being asked it, and I think it's fair to ask us for that, you know, we're not cutting it so tight that is anybody gonna, you know, flip up their nose at $1 or $2 more.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, and for those what 4 or 5 months that we're doing this, right? You made a point earlier saying, you know, do we take a look at, you know, is there a different way of where some of those fixed utility type costs are going to come from, right?
Yep.
Versus rec. So, you know, is the money in for that? Does that actually go into a different account that is, you know, that is shared with utilities things, of which then the utilities gets paid out of that, and you know, because and truly isn't part of a rec number because it's not a program that we're running. So, well, you know, should all those dollars stay out of a rec revolving fund? They probably should.
I think exactly that. Yep. I think they just funnel straight into a fund for that purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Archery, it's going well. You know, sometimes it runs, sometimes it doesn't. Still sharing with a bunch of towns. So if there's not enough across all the towns, we cancel. There again with the email issue, we did have one blip where somebody showed up. Weirdly, they showed up on week 3, and then they were like, "Hey, what's going on?" So we're all kind of confused on that. Why they didn't, you know, realize no one was there on week 1 or week 2. Maybe they just couldn't make it, and they said, "Hey, I'll still show up." But anyway, week 3, we got an email saying I showed up and no one was there. But it was the email issue, so that's been resolved. We have 2 registrations for the next session. Hopefully it runs. We'll see, but that's again a pretty easy program right now for us. New programs. So I was still talking to that art teacher from Touchstone. She gave a little bit more information. I will share it. I think it's actually my personal. And I did send back with her. I had a couple more clarifying questions about cost because of just how she wrote things. But she says she does this with Hopkinton. So basically, it would be a 8-week fall art class for 3rd to 5th graders, mixed media, process based. I don't know. And then these items we would be responsible for purchasing. And then she said, at least for Hopkinton, they charge $260. We can make the decision on what it makes sense for us to charge. She is getting paid $45 an hour, so that's each class is 1 hour, so it's 8 hours. So whatever 45 times 8 is. The class for times that work for her would be 4:15 to 5:15 on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I think that's fine. And then there's some of the ideas that she has. So they each are 2-day projects. So you come in, get started, second day finish up, and then moving forward. So project 2, project 3, and then project 4. So, you know, sorry, there's more projects. I don't really know how that math works, but that's all right. Because I think 4 times 2 days, maybe these are options. Maybe we get to select. But anyway, so yeah, pretty simple layout. You know, it's something where I've made it clear to her the way we can do programs right now is if they don't sell, we cancel and nobody gets paid, and we just all call it a day. So if she's cool with that. But I think if you all are okay with it, I can reach out to Matthew about schedule for the community center. And then we just build in, hey, what would the cost be of materials? What would her cost be? How do we feel about the registration fee? You know, does $260 make sense for us or does it not?
Right.
And then just open it up soon, you know, and just say, what are we going to get? And then, you know, 3 weeks out before I make any purchases of materials, you know, say, hey, is this filling? What are we thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So go back up to the list.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, does it? So is there a is there a cap to the number?
Yes, so that was one of the questions I sent back to her.
Oh, okay.
So she said, do. She can accommodate 10 kids at a time.
Okay.
And she said she knows that we're looking to launch in the fall just as a test case, but she's found from her experience that fall is actually quite tricky for registrations. So she said, you know, even if fall doesn't fill, she'd love to try again in winter break or spring, because she just knows that fall sometimes doesn't fill when others do, but
Okay.
kind of a why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Is she-
so 10 kids.
Okay.
Does she recommend a vendor for all those supplies? And can she give us an estimate about what that's come to over in Hopkinton? Because
I
that's
can
gonna help
ask-
us. That'll
yeah,
help
I
us
can
figure
ask-
out the cost.
Yeah, I can ask Hopkinton. She's actually going out of the country, I think tomorrow,
Okay.
until the end of August. So she's gonna be away for a while. But I can ask Hopkinton, or I can just do a quick, you know, throw it into Google. The thing is, she didn't really give amounts, so I need
That's what I'm looking at. Like,
quantities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cans, we need
Exactly.
multiple boxes. Are we talking,
Right.
a 16 pack for each student, or is it a great big massive? Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of
Yeah.
questions about that because art supplies are so variable in cost.
Yeah,
Exactly. And what
exactly.
I might do, yeah, she said that typically she's always had it where programs supply the art supplies for her, but what I
Yeah.
might push her on is that's fine, but can you supply me the link of what you're talking about in the quantity? You know, we
Yes.
can obviously make sure it's there on the day of,
Of
but I
course.
need to know what you're talking about and how
Yeah.
much.
Ocean
Yeah.
State Job Lot is the place to go
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
for this stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Well,
is.
yeah. I mean, real leaves. I mean, okay, you know, yeah. Hopefully,
I won't.
would
I won't charge much. They can come to my yard.
yeah, exactly. Right?
Especially in the
You know,
fall, I think anybody would
Cutting off
thank
of
them for
those.
taking some leaves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you could find some.
Yeah. So anyway, if you all are comfortable, you know, again, this is one of those low risk. Obviously, we'd have another conversation about setting a price and all, you know, all of that. But I think I might continue to just kind of request more, you know, more detailed information from her as we can kind of see she's an arts minded person versus maybe a detail minded person. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's been a little bit of the back and forth of, okay, but what do you mean by that? And what do you mean by that? So it might take a little bit, but I think we can get there, and the projects seem cool. And if they don't sell, they don't sell.
yeah.
I think pursue it.
It-
Yeah.
What do you think about that class time though? Right, starting at 4:15. Is that just feels odd to me?
Yeah.
It's icky for parents, for sure, if they're working parents.
Right.
Yeah. So I have a feeling it's around her schedule. She's a parent. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
have a feeling it's all she can offer. And I think because it's low to no risk for us, I think, you know, maybe say, hey, are there any other times you'd consider? But if the answer is no, then we throw it out there and
Okay.
say
Yeah.
we don't know if it's gonna sell because it's a weird time, but
Yeah.
oh well.
Just
Or-
ask. I mean, is it the same time for the Hopkinton program? Because if it is and it's successful, then it's probably going to be okay, right?
Maybe, yeah. Hopkinton has some interesting
Yeah.
stuff. They sell
Well,
things that we'll never.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
got and they got, you know, there's a hell of a lot more money in that town than there is in
Yeah.
Lincoln,
Yeah.
so
I know. I know. We're
Oh,
the
hold
poor
on.
man's Hopkinton. I know.
But again, you know, I'll chat with Hopkinton and just again, I know her, you know, casually from Touchstone, but I would like to also just chat with them about their experience working with her. So yeah, if
Mhm.
you all are interested in this concept, I'll kind of keep
Yeah.
pursuing it, get some more information, some back and forth with her, and try to have like a real, all right, this is what we're looking at.
I love it.
I like
Great.
it. Yeah.
And you know, if we're doing something at the community center, is that something then we have to we'll have to bring over, we'll have to store it, we'll have to box it up at the end of the day and then put it away somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. And is that at
Yeah.
the center? Is that underneath your desk? Is that, like, no, I mean, reality is, where is all that going and where is it
Yeah,
going
right.
to end up being stored? So,
Very realistic, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Matthew will
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's the other thing is if, we put it on, so her name's Tuba, the teacher, to say, hey, we'll give you the bins, and library says, hey, they're cool with you storing them here, but you're gonna have to schlub them, or schlep them, back and
Upstairs,
forth.
yeah.
And that's how this will work, right? Type
Yeah.
of thing. So,
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, those are the details.
Interested to hear how she does it in Hopkinton. I know, like when Lauren won that course that we took, Chris, she left it back and forth. She had
Right.
great big bins, and maybe that's what she's used to. So
Yeah.
Okay.
So the other arts kind of program related one is I've been talking to actually Lori about, she has a lot of local art style people she's trying to do some cool things with, and she wanted to put us in touch because basically she thinks there's some people with some really cool backgrounds, and we're looking to have some people to lead stuff, and again throw it out there. So I proposed to her that idea that I've kind of had of, I'd love to do like a performing arts clinic almost. It's really run by students, but you have someone with some expertise there to help guide. So if they want to write stand up, if they want to do a solo, if they want to do a monologue or an interpretive dance, whatever it is, that it can be all of those things in one clinic, and then we have a showcase at the end. But who's the spearheaded person who's helping them figure out their performance, figure out their thing, and that needs to be the right style human, because they need to have some sort of background in it. So she actually recommended this person, Matt Fear, and so he just reached out, I think that was yesterday. So we're going to try to set something up and just chat and just see what we're both thinking. So again, definitely early on this conversation, but she kind of lit up and said, I have the perfect person when I told her about this idea. And so we're going to try to kind of get in touch and see what we could do. But yeah, maybe again, as they wrote, winter break, spring break, next summer break, something like that. They're calling it drama camp. I don't want it to overshadow theater if it's next summer. So I like the idea of breaks if it's a drama camp, but if it's more of like a clinic, then I think it's different enough. And probably the ages would also be different enough since it's a little bit more student. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
those are the kind of new programs that are in the works right now. Concerts, you all know what's going on there. Goals, I had just kind of thrown together some draft ideas to Rick, but I would love at some point to sit down and make sure that we all feel good about the goals that are for this year. So I don't know if that's a next meeting thing, or Rick, you and I meet in the meantime and then maybe send it through email or something like that. And then just to kind of close it out, and then we can move on. But I would ask if we talk about increasing the rec director approval amount. Not that I'm looking to have you all see less stuff, but more there's just enough things that are everyday normal stuff that's getting above that $300 line. And it's getting, where I had to put a purchase on the P card, and then it's the end of the month and I'm supposed to pay it at the beginning of the month, and I got to send it to Chris, and then with it, so it's 400, if that makes you feel comfortable, but just something where there's enough things where I'm going, okay, I gotta send that over. And I'll be honest, I've accidentally signed a few things without thinking, because it was like the credit card, priority payment credit card, and I wasn't thinking about the fact that it was well above that 300, because I was like, yeah, we do it every month. No, this is an always thing. So I'm not looking, I think one of them was like 800 and I accidentally signed it. But it's one of those where I'm like, nothing's being hidden. There was no purchase.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking to get above that 800, but there are things like that that I'm realizing are getting caught up, where I'm kind of going, oh, I'm not allowed, but this isn't in the spirit of running stuff by you all.
Right.
So is 400 the level that you're looking at?
That honestly, what I should do is I should look at, go back through the last few months, and I have it in the binder, so I'll flip through maybe next week, and just see like, what do I think that number might be. But I also think the opposite of the number might be the vendor, right? We might say credit cards I can sign my rec, I can, whatever, like certain things that
Yeah.
there's no decision making on my end that went into that payment.
Right.
That
Right.
you all need to like be made aware of. So maybe that's the division. So
Yep.
then even if it's a $800 credit card thing, that's not something I need to send to Chris because
Right.
I'm not running it by you all, right? Like
Yeah,
it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With-
there was no decision making, like you
Yeah.
said. Yeah.
Is,
Yeah.
is that cool with Jen though?
Jess.
Jess, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
So
Just meaning like if we have different amounts for different things, does that end up getting confusing at the end of the day versus just still staying with a fixed rate?
So when I've spoken to Jess in the past, and we can double check that this is still true, but she said that is 100% a you all thing. We don't check. We don't check who signed it. It's you all saying this person, we're submitting something and RecCom is saying this is the person who's allowed to submit it. She said we have departments where the director signs everything and nobody ever looks, and we have and also, often they're much smaller. So the board is in,
Yeah, sure.
I'm saying much smaller. You know what I mean? I'm one
Yeah,
person,
yeah.
but
Yep.
they're doing a lot less purchasing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can double check with her, but the information I was given last time was it is very much whatever our comfort level is, and that's why I kind of came up with that vendor idea, and we
Yep.
could just have a two lists, list A I can always sign, list B I can only sign if it's under 300, 400, whatever number we come up with, type of thing.
Hmm.
I think an arrangement like that, that certainly works for me. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I will prepare those lists, or I will really just, look back the last few months and kind of see if that even makes sense. I just thought of that this morning.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
No, good idea.
Okay.
All right.
that's my spiel.
Anything else? Okay. Take a breath, grab a quick drink of water, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, you know what? I know field requests are still on here. I don't know if there's something else, as we probably do need to have, July.
Somebody called today about field requests, so I think we need to at least.
I saw that, and oddly enough, it was from my place of employment, right? Because it was a guy that's interning at Dell right now.
Separately, actually, it was Henderson. I talked to the kid at Dell. I'm saying
Oh.
kid. I talked to the human at Dell.
Okay. No, it's
But
a kid. It's an intern,
Arthur
right?
Henderson.
Is
who I got
that the
call.
Dell one, or are you talking the other one?
Yeah, the other one that he just said, hey, I put it in 10 days ago. I haven't heard back. Can I get a response? So all I'm saying is, it's a different person. Arthur Henderson,
Okay,
who's not the Dell person, is asking for a response. Yeah.
got it. Okay, yeah, because I honestly I hadn't I haven't gone and looked in a bit. So okay, so Connor Maloney was the guy from Dell.
Yeah.
Is looking for what, Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday the 29th. I'm assuming if that happens, the only place that's actually available is the Kiwanis Beach softball field.
Yeah, so I chatted with him and I basically said, listen, we have a day camp that's going on. So if you push it to a start time of 5, we can clear the field by 5, but we can't clear it much earlier than that. And a Tuesday, we don't have any other games or events or anything, so that would be fine.
Okay.
Yep. And then
All
he
right.
shot me an email so I could send him the rates and all that.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then the Henderson, what's the Henderson thing?
Yeah, honestly, he called me when I was on the field trip, so I just said, we'll be talking about it tonight. But I haven't looked. It looks like a birthday party pavilion rental, so that's fine.
Yeah, okay. So then it's just a matter. Oh, and he's an older guy, 75. Okay. Yeah, I didn't see. I'm just looking at it now and going, all right, what's what? So yeah, I guess we just need to take a look and see what's up with that. But I think there's There's fall soccer things that are in here. There's football. So, granted, they're looking at trying to start mid-August. We know that that's not going to be the case, right? Um, I assume that if we reach out to Dennis will say, September 1st. Because I don't know, I actually have no idea what his DPW crew support status is right now, right? I know he was down a few guys, so
Yeah. Still is. Yep.
yeah, okay. So, and then obviously football at Leland. So, I don't really see that there's any major things, so or conflicts. What I'll look to do is, maybe I'll put it in that normal doc that I've done in the past, right, with the field breakouts and then the times, based on West River and Kiwanis, and Memorial or Leland, right, and just kind of plot it out a little bit just to make sure, hey, we're all good.
Yep. Yep.
But the quick view doesn't. I'm not seeing a conflict of fields at this point. So
Good.
Okay.
I realized I forgot something, and I didn't put it on the director's report, but we've been putting together, so we're running into an issue where pretty much all of our lifeguards except for one are going to or are in college. So week 9 and beyond, we are in trouble. We have already closed registration for Kids at Play for the last week, or actually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because our registration numbers were getting past what our Kids at Play staff could handle for all those people going to college or starting BBT or whatever. So we're okay for week 9 for Kids at Play, but by a hair.
Yeah, right.
So that's tight. But and that's again with closing registration already. But for lifeguards, we have no lifeguards week 9 because we could find one for one day and one for an afternoon, but we could never find even 2, which is a minimum we need. So we're gonna advertise out beginning of next week. Hey, just so you all know, we're unable to provide lifeguards, so there will not be swimming week 9. If you'd like to, or I guess I should ask you this, but this is my plan. If you'd like to cancel, we'll be waiving, the cancellation fee. Sorry for the inconvenience, blah, blah, blah. And the thing is, the beach from thereafter, so the concert isn't going to have lifeguards, and the beach from thereafter is not going to have lifeguards. So we wanted to stay open through Labor Day. We're not going to be able to do those last 2-3 weekends. Everybody's gone. Everybody's just absolutely gone. Literally out of state, gone.
And that's the issue with always having, if we had college kids, did we turn any lifeguards away that were high school?
One.
And
I still think even in this predicament, I think that was a good call.
Okay.
For safety, for that human on the stand. That it wasn't because we maxed out on numbers, it was because I didn't want to hire that human on the stand.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
But agreed
yeah,
that
no, I'm with you. And I just didn't know whether or not there's, is there, is someone, is there a way of, is someone else, in a neighboring town, do they have excess of those? Do they have more in the high school realm than as we have the college realm? And, is there someone that is potentially looking for extra hours that we could just bring over that's already doing work and that they're happy with?
Yeah. So same page. I've already reached out to Dan over in blah 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 Mendon. And gonna tack on Hopkinton and Grafton, and I don't even know if Hopkinton has lifeguards, but I'm just gonna reach out to everyone. Westboro I know didn't do lifeguards this year. I don't know if Southboro has them, but I'm just gonna, spam anyone I can and just, see who might have that. So same idea.
Yeah.
I don't have high hopes because I think we are once again one of the few that has lifeguards, and I know that Mend and I are sharing lifeguards right now. So
Yeah,
who knows how
got it.
many? They might have a few extra, but if the ones we're sharing are all gone, I don't know if they're then gonna have extra. But
Yeah, sure.
same idea. Yeah. The email is started, it is not sent to everybody else.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have high hopes, but
I mean, if that's the case, then that's the case. And, I mean, then that also means that we have to cut out the gatekeepers as well, right? Because now we're not charging, we can't charge for people that not have lifeguards, right? So that means gatekeepers are done too. Speaking of gatekeepers, so I'm going to sidebar for 1 second. Whoever was there on Monday was kind of forcing or trying to force softball players to pay the parking fee.
Really?
Yeah, so we may just make if you can, and you know what, I forgot to send you a note on it, but
Yeah.
I could just send you a quick reminder just saying, hey, can we, whoever's working on Monday, yes, there is a softball league that comes in, and if they were in one of the teams playing, then they are not to be charged.
Yeah, I'll look up who it is and ping them. I mean, it's in our like resources for
Yeah,
them,
yeah,
with all the
yeah.
information. It's in our training, but if they hadn't worked a Monday before and were this many weeks out, they might have forgotten.
Yep.
But I'll just pull up whoever worked and then shoot them a message.
Yeah.
They've been good other than counting cash, so maybe we'll have a new note for them.
Other than counting cash.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
It's just math. They're struggling with math.
Oh, just
Okay.
a question, just out of curiosity. If
Yeah.
people park at the upper lot, where there's no gatekeeper, and they just walk down,
Yep.
then that's
Free
okay.
for all.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Just asking.
We don't tell
I have a
people
sticker
that,
on my car.
but
I have a
absolutely,
sticker on
yes.
my car.
Yes. There's also one spot that you're not allowed to park in right before the
The
gatehouse.
gate, yeah.
Yeah.
Where we can't do anything. If anybody asks, you're not allowed to park there. If a cop comes by, you probably get a ticket.
Right.
We can't make you not park there.
Yeah.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should let
Yeah.
you park there. And then
I know. I'll put up a sign.
Yeah.
Maria's parking.
If you see Maria's orange car, just don't give her
That's
a
right.
ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The staff have learned I have my spot, and
Yes.
none of the staff park in my spot.
Wow.
All right.
It's not labeled, but it's always left open for me. I really
There
appreciate
you
it.
go.
Anyway, that
All
was
right.
the last thing. So we're
Okay.
handling it again. We've run all the numbers, everybody, blah blah blah. But
Yep.
we'll be reaching out. But like Rick said, last ditch effort is to try to see what we can scrounge up. Honestly, I'm going to reach out to the Whiten Community Center. I'm going to reach out to anyone I can.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. All right. Anything else there? All right. So I think I'm just looking at the number 6 on the agenda, right? So action items not covered in the director's report. I think we've hit up on a couple of them, but Chris, you had said review the draft of the MOA between
Yeah.
select board and rec.
Mhm. It looked pretty innocuous to me. But I'm not a professional yet, so you guys were at the October meeting, right?
This and I'm just trying to think of what
It seems like reporting structure kind of thing, right?
so this is the report into or have a sliver of reporting into Joe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Unless anything has changed since the meeting we were at, the and I have not looked into this document, but I was never told that anything was changed. I was just told that what we discussed was going to be put into writing.
Mhm.
But I can't say that for sure. But basically the concept was primarily report to RecCom, report to town manager when it
Right.
benefits us. And it
Right.
also gives town manager a little bit of an authority to say, here's how I can help because you are under me versus you're separate and it makes it harder for me to help.
Right.
That was
Yeah.
the
right.
concept. The big thing, and this is the exact situation that I pushed back on, I think I, won't speak for Matthew, but I believe he was getting into was I have a good relationship with Joe. I think we have a good relationship with Joe. Again, if I understand library correctly, I think they were saying they have a good relationship with Joe. And it's hard because this wording is fine if it's Joe and if it's me and if it's
Right.
Matthew. But if
Right.
it's a different human interpreting this wording differently because it's a little bit up for interpretation, that was where the fear was. So kind of
Yeah.
the situation we find
Right.
ourselves in, an incoming town manager, how are they going to interpret it? So I do kind of want to comb through it with that in mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
At the time, they sort of said we'll deal with that then, and now I'm going it's then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
And it's
and
coming up fast.
and to be quite honest with you, I mean, did select board vote it in?
I've
It's-
heard they did, and I think it was actually a town meeting thing that had to happen because I know I kept thinking it was in effect, and they were like, nope, not yet. So I don't remember what
Yeah.
the start date was, if it was
I-
fiscal year or town meeting.
I think it's going to be in one of the next two select board meetings. It's going to be discussed. So maybe it will be approved by then. I
Is
think
that
Joe
what?
wants our input prior to that.
And he wanted, yeah, and I think he wanted to see whether or not we were going to be around in one of those August meetings, right? Now, if he's
Potentially, yeah.
if he's done at the end of August, I mean, I know that this is being recorded. However, I would also say, does it make sense to push this out and say, what if whoever the next town manager is
Right.
wants nothing to do with that, right? I
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
why change it now as Joe's officially given his notice and is outbound?
Right. Right.
And to know again the parts that are up for interpretation, I'd love to know their interpretation before
Yeah.
anybody, like you said, puts a vote to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that.
So, okay.
So is somebody going to get back to Joe just talking about now, or should I, or who should? Rick?
Yeah, I can, right?
Okay.
And just and maybe I even started with the, hey, Mr. Bellingham, are you, why are we pushing on it now?
Yeah.
Right.
It is a
Yeah.
little, obviously
So-
he knew it's out the door.
Well,
Yeah, and just
Yeah,
just say our
well-
concern,
well-
our concerns.
not at this time last year, right? Because it
No.
really started
No.
to kick off at this time last year. So,
Right.
but it now coming back up and him questioning it in the last week or so, he definitely had some other things, and this was probably one of those. Okay, this is something that's hanging out there. Let's try to get it closed before I'm done, right?
Right. Right.
So, anyway,
Okay.
okay.
Sort of related to this, but also not that related. There's that big invite all committees and whatever. Joe did clarify during the department head meeting that he doesn't, I mean, we're welcome, directors are welcome, but he really means he'd love to have a representative from each board. So
Mhm.
if one of you's available, that would be amazing. Great.
Go.
Amazing.
You just walk down the street, have some ice cream, come back up.
There you go.
Sorry, different one, not his going
Oh.
away party, but
Oh, okay.
I don't have the date. I have to grab my phone for
Yeah,
our
yeah.
next meeting anyway, but it's like a Monday night, I think.
Yeah, it's 2 Mondays. I think it's either the 4th and the 8th. I think it's the 4th and the 18th.
I'll grab
Yeah.
my phone
What
and
is
I'll
that?
pull it up.
No,
But
for,
Are those
so-
the
so-
select board meetings?
yeah, the select board meeting,
Oh, okay.
you know, I think
The
he
big
had said,
call out.
you know, he'd like it to be in one of those two, and I think they always meet on the first and third Mondays. So,
I think we're still even talking about something else.
oh,
No, I
Yeah,
okay.
I
know
didn't
what
get
you're
any,
talking
I didn't get anything
Yeah,
about
this
that.
is July 28th at 7 p.m. an all town board meeting. And basically I'll just read it. It's the board's intent, or it's at the Upton Community Center Great Room. It's the board's intent to make this an annual event where boards and committees can come together to discuss town projects, goals, and issues. We hope that we can get a representative from each board and committee in town to attend so we can discuss the future of the town. More details will follow next week. And the more details we heard is, you know, the director can be there, but really they're hearing from boards and committees, not necessarily town hall staff. And obviously, if for any reason 2 of you or 3 of you are going to be there, we will have to do an official notice. That was part of it. They wanted to make sure us know because it would be a quorum, even though every board might be that. So we just need to know if more than one of you wants to go, that's fine, but we'll have to publish that it's a meeting ahead of time. But he is asking, it's the 28th at 7.
I'm available for that.
I was gonna say, I'm not even so sure that I'm seeing it, but
There, I'll just
Yeah, I
forward it right
didn't
now.
see,
I-
I didn't
I
see
could-
anything.
I could have also missed it. So
I just
Me
sent it
too.
again.
What day of the week is that?
Monday.
Monday.
And let me grab my phone for scheduling.
Yeah, no, I'm not available for that one.
Oh,
I'm gonna grab my hard copy book. To be sure.
oh yeah, I did get
Anyway.
this. Then it fell off my radar. Because I was waiting for more details to follow next week. Okay.
More waiting for more details. I'll figure it out at the more details.
Exactly.
I can go, so if that makes sense.
If you're able
Okay.
to, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And I think the question was just really, again, like if Rick, if you'd like to go to, or vice versa, if it was going to be Chris, I just wanted to send the reminder that they gave us, which is we would have to publish a meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Or if you really want to go, Rick, you can.
I
I can stay home.
You could
Jump
both go.
Fit there.
it,
You're
yeah,
welcome to
can I-
both go.
can I?
I
can
am planning
Can-
on going, but also could back out. No one knows.
Well, I'm just wondering, you know, do I have a CPC hat on, or do I have a Recom hat on?
True. 2 hats on top of each other.
Yes, stacked.
I'll
So they-
I'll get a hat made that just, you know, that I tape up and says CPC tonight.
But yeah, and the other
There you
ones.
go.
And then
Yeah.
Turn it around,
I can
forward and
turn
back.
it and go
Bill.
Rec,
2 different bills on the one hat.
right? And it's got a propeller on top.
There you go. I like it. Mickey Mouse ears.
Oh, you've got a couple weeks to have that made. Should be
Yeah.
doable.
Yeah,
Ready.
yeah, exactly. I got to get on it today though. So,
Yeah.
all right. All right, cool. So the other piece on here was the vote on Rick's appointment for CPC, but I actually think that we did talk about that last month, and that was the edit that we made in the
Yeah.
June minutes. So
But
I think
don't
that
we voted it. Don't we have to vote on that? I don't think we voted on it.
I actually, well, but we didn't change anything, right? We
Okay.
basically said we're all gonna kind of remain in our
Carrying
same
forward.
coverage roles
Okay.
for
Okay.
this year. ahead,
I
Maria. Yeah.
believe Sue was pinging us because she said it does have to be a vote.
That's what I thought too, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I move that Rick
Yeah.
continue as CPC representative from Rec Commission?
I will second that. All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed?
Me, no.
All right.
You're
Hey,
outnumbered,
put it in as
Rick.
majority.
You're outnumbered.
appreciate all the,
2 against 1.
taking hands you're doing to earn your position back.
Exactly, exactly. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, so, yeah, I mean, I guess we could follow back up on that. Yeah, we may not have done an official vote because we didn't really change anything, so,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, okay.
I think what part of the discussion was if I were to carry that on next year, that I could shadow you for a couple of the meetings that you
And-
attend.
Yeah, I mean, and it's certainly, I mean, you know, it's a public meeting, right? So it's not like.
Oh,
you-
so I could just go anyway.
Oh,
Yeah.
you could come, right? It's just you
Okay.
wouldn't have it, you wouldn't have any voting rights
No, that's
as
fine,
as
yeah.
you're there. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you
which
could
is fine.
send me a reminder of.
It's
I
usually
signed- I signed up
usually
for
the-
these to get email alerts, but I'm not getting them anymore for some reason.
Maybe it's
town
the
ones.
email
It's-
AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're running
Yeah.
into.
yeah. It's hey, you know what? Because you say that, I'm just looking and going, my promotions file is effing huge.
I believe it. Here, I'll,
From
I'll
what?
send you all the instructions so you can.
Oh my-
Thank you. Send that. Yeah, I would
Uh,
appreciate that actually.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not kidding. No.
So I literally I just opened it up. It's over 16,000 emails that
Oh,
I've
wow.
got in there.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought nobody liked me anymore. I just like.
Oh my gosh.
I honestly though, I can't tell you whether or not these are. This doesn't look like it's all recreation, right?
Oh, it's-
Now keep in mind, right? I'll probably, you know, a lot of these I'm looking at and going, oh, this is probably soccer. That's soccer. That one's definitely soccer. Oh, look at that though, an authorized .net one. Okay,
The
so
fun first day
so-
or two.
so there's I don't know, there's a button to hit to delete them all. So okay.
I was gonna say something else.
Really
Keep it
appealing button.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all
So
right.
we set with the agenda then? Are we done with that or?
Yeah, so I know on
Or
here
is there
you
anything
also
else?
you also had finalized
Goals,
fiscal year 26 goals.
right? Those are in
wh-
progress still, right?
Why don't I, because in a way we've already somewhat submitted them because we had to. I'll
Right.
send them out, and maybe
Yeah.
what we can do is we can augment the, maybe we can put in some of the other specific measurables, right? Because that's really
Yeah.
what I didn't necessarily get into, right? Just kind of some of the high level topics.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'll send that out, and next month we can kind of go through some of the metrics to
Sure.
measure against
Yeah.
to make sure we have a good way of are we achieved, are we not achieved, and that type of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because next month is our next month meeting is our check-in for goals anyway. So
Yeah.
Great.
good.
Okay. Yeah,
Speaking
and then
of next, go ahead.
yeah, no, and I was just gonna say, and then the next thing was if there's any other things. So this gets us into August meeting. My assumption is probably around the 21st.
Yeah, 14 or 20, 21. Yep, either one.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm hoping by 21 we get fiscal year 25 numbers finalized, and then
Mhm.
maybe we don't necessarily have fiscal year 26 numbers to talk about yet, but at least maybe the other ones will be done. So a little bit later in the month might actually be a little better.
Sure.
Okay. So
If
21st.
people are available, does that
Yep.
21st work?
Yep. sure does.
Weird question. Can we only do a Tuesday night, or does that not work for you all?
That's fine.
I can.
Usually
We
it's
could.
Rick. Usually it's Rick.
Right now I don't see an issue why we couldn't do like the 19th.
Yeah,
Is that what you're thinking?
that's what I'm thinking. Only because I have to open on the 22nd, and so not having a concert late night, RecCom late night, and then open Friday morning sounds nice to me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just
Okay.
if
That makes
possible.
sense. Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
So
Amazing.
the 19th. Okay.
And then one other odd question, but can we make it 7:15 that we start? Only because if we run into what Grace did, I mean, it wasn't a big deal because Joy was in a pretty good mood, but if she was screaming, crying, that would have been a rough time to start. So can we
Perfect.
make the meeting start 7:15?
Not a problem.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
fine.
Troublemaker. My gosh.
you.
Girls with attitudes. To the
Babies
phone.
with attitudes. The baby is running this commission now.
I know.
Hey, you know, this is,
Oh, let's throw out the baby now.
right? That's the way it happens, right? It's, you know, you got four hands chasing after one. So, yep.
Yep.
Well, you're playing zone now, so yeah, no excuse.
Luckily, she hasn't crawled yet, so it's very contained.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't look like it's that far off if she's starting to lie down and I'm assuming roll.
She's like pulling it in that
she's
wedge.
a pro at rolling. She can rotate exactly where she wants to be. She can pick herself up how she wants to. She's right there. Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
poised.
She was
Oh, yeah.
waving at us too. I
She was
noticed.
waving.
She
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
She was playing like a drum earlier today. They had one of those like sound, the ones where they all sound good.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
she
yeah.
was hitting, using both hands. We were like, you're amazing.
That's good.
She
Killing
is.
it.
Awesome.
She's awesome.
Cool.
Alrighty,
Okay.
anything else? Think we're all set.
All
So
good.
adjourn at 9:21,
9:20.
9:22.